Hello and welcome, my friends. Today's topic is entitled Impulse because I wanted to talk a little bit about of all the decisions that we make every day, all day, how many of them are really good decisions?
One in a million.
Oh, I think we have a higher number than that, but let's determine how we do make those decisions. My name is Paul, and this is Path of Ascension. So, mostly today we're going to be talking about actions, but I wanted to start with this Buddhist tenet here on speaking. Before you speak, let your words pass through these three gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If we actually thought about those three gates, how much less we would speak. In my case, it'd be incredible. But mostly because, I always try to be kind and I try to be truthful. Necessary is kind of mainly because that leaves out a lot of jokes and quips, and I'm not entirely sure I can manage that. But the real point of that, anyway, is to think before you speak. Before you say something and react to something, of course, you want to leave some space so you can determine what is the appropriate response. What is the response that you want to make from your inner self, not your head. And there's a photograph of me while I drift off the topic. Yes, impulse, impulse. So a lot of things happen to us during the day that are opportunities to do some great things. And what's followed by those opportunities is this flood of information and this flood of circling around in your head. Should I do this, or maybe trying to talk yourself out of it without even realizing that you're doing so. Let me give you a simple example that we've all faced. Somebody comes up to you and asks for some money. So, what's your first impulse? Oh, give him some money. But do you? Or do you stop and you go, well, he looks like he might just take that money and go buy some alcohol with it, and that's probably not a good thing for him. And within a couple seconds, you've rationalized a good reason not to give him what he asked for. And, you know, I guess you have to hearken back to remember in the Bible when Jesus said, if somebody asks for your shirt, give them your coat too. He didn't say and stop and determine if this guy's going to sell your coat that you give him and buy alcohol with it. I've read the Bible many times. That's not in it. So this is just an example of where you think you're doing the right thing instead of following your initial impulse. So what's happened now is that impulse has been filtered through your mind and through your ego and through your thinking and through your judgment, and then you make a determination. And I know that's a tough one for a lot of people because they really feel like they're doing the right thing. There's so many things that happen in our lives that we are faced with, and our initial reaction would be the proper reaction. When you hear about stories like, oh, an emergency happens and somebody like just instantly reacts and saves somebody, and later they're in an interview or something, and the interviewer's asking them, how did you get up the courage to do that? Well, they say, well, I didn't. I just reacted. Because their initial impulse was exactly the right thing to do. If they'd have stopped and thought about it, I guarantee you that fear would have kicked in and they would have talked themselves out of it. Look, you guys are all in various stages of awakening. And I guarantee you that your first impulse to do something will be to do something good. I think all you need to really do there is trust that and not bring yourself out into the other world that you've been living year after year, where you question everything and you have to take a slide rule to everything to figure out what to do. All right, let's drift a little bit and talk about something else I wanted to bring up. I wanted to talk a little bit about this idea of self-care. And it's not that I have anything against that. Certainly you need to take care of yourself. But you also have to look and see how much of this is, me putting so much focus on myself that I'm kind of ignoring the rest of the world and everybody else in it. And I understand the need when you've been hurt, and we've all been hurt, to protect yourself and to try to set up your boundaries and do all these things. And even these spiritual pursuits where you're going to go to this retreat and you're going to do ayahuasca or whatever it is to take yourself to some other realm. Or, this is all fine, and this is all in the process of your own spiritual growth, and you're going to realize what you're going to realize. But the bottom line is, the more focus that you have on yourself, the more you are subject to all the pitfalls of your own ego. And ego is pretty easy to recognize. I mean, if you're doing something that affects you and only you, and it's all about you, well, that's pretty much probably your ego. A couple other good examples. When you get offended, I mean, if you really look at it, when you get offended, that is all about, your ego. You feel attacked, or you're offended by a word. I remember Sadhguru had a thing he was talking about, how people take offense to what somebody says to them. And he said, if they were speaking in a different language that you didn't understand and they were smiling, you would have no idea. You would smile right along, because these are words. These are sticks and stones. They really can't do anything to you. And it's only when you let them affect your self-worth, or you see them as a personal attack. And here again, that is all ego. I had somebody made a comment on one of my videos, and it was in another language, and I didn't know what it was, and it looked like YouTube had removed it, and I was like, well, why would they do that? And so I found it, and I translated it in Google Translate, and it said, "You are pussy." And I thought that was really funny, and I wished I could have put it back in, but I don't know why YouTube just took it off, I guess. But my point here is, it's okay for people to think about whatever they want to think about you. And it's okay for them to say whatever they want to say about you, because it's not really about you. It's about your ego. And so if you want to put up this, shield of armor so your ego doesn't get attacked, then you're not allowing yourself to let that thing, whittle that thing down, because it just causes you nothing but trouble. You have to feel good within yourself. All of us are divine beings. Let that sink in. You're not your ego, and you're not your little thinking mind, and neither is anybody else. When they lash out at you, they just don't know any better. So let these things go. Be cautious of the self-care. Just make sure that if you're doing something, that it's enriching your connection to the divine, and it's enriching your soul, so you can go out and enrich others as well. And as we watch the boat meander out into what appears to be the White Sea of Snow, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in and for watching. If you are not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button. I will also leave a link down in the description box if you would like to visit any of my other sites, or drop me an email or any comments in the comment boxes below. Get out there and do what your impulse tells you to do.